Well, it is Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern here. And welcome to another edition of Otaku Thursday. Thank you for clicking on this video. We really do appreciate those of you who have tuned in. We really do appreciate it. Uh, we're trying to separate Otaku Thursday from the rest of Mad Men with the show on QTCast TV because this is the kind of content that you're looking for, and we want to try to dedicate this particular video, this particular time for just the things that are happening in the anime and manga world. Because there's a lot that's going on, a lot of issues. We just passed the elections. Now, at the time of this recording, we recorded this on election day. So basically, we won't be discussing on how it ended, what was going on as far as that nature. We will do that on Man Man with the Show. And that will be coming next week. We also went a little light this week, but that's just because of the election day coverage. We were trying to make sure we get all of our information proper for next week. So do tune in to that. Also, for those who are expecting us on Odyssey and BitChute, we will have an announcement on that. There'll be some drastic changes, and we do apologize for that because right now, the way things are going, we're going to have to concentrate on certain social media platforms. Also, there will be an announcement for Facebook, Instagram, all that across the board. So stay tuned for that as well. So let's get into this week. What's been going on in the anime manga world or the otaku world? First, we want to start with bad news. This past week, horror manga legend Kazu Umezu has passed away. If you're not familiar with his stuff, you can check out over at Viz Media. He did Drifting Classroom, which was adapted to a live action film, as well as Cat's Eye Boy or Choi. My Name is Shingu, and many others for mention. And they're available. If those of you in the West, they're available in English, and of course, obviously in the East, they are highly available. We'll read a little bit into this off of Otaku USA Magazine. One of the pillars of the manga world is no longer with us, as it was announced that horror manga legend Katsu Umezu has passed away. According to the statement, he passed away on October 28th at the age of 88. He wanted to spread his work throughout the world to be read by all forever. The statement from his art company. He believed in the intrinsic artistic value of his work and made that inspiration rest forever in the hearts of all. And that's true. I mean, there's been so much criticism today on the anime manga world. And again, we're past the elections, but we still need to speak up about this because this has to detail with certain organizations that are coming after the anime manga world. They're trying to put it on a pedestal as the same problems as pornography and many other things in the world, and saying that the same issues they call for age verification, online censorship. This is what continues on and on. But it's still. This guy was a legend in its own. I've never read any of his stuff or seen anything that he's produced on there, but now it's going to get me to go out and see this because I'm still, being in my late 50s, there's a lot of manga, there's a lot of anime that I have not seen or read. And still, everything is new to me. And always remember that. Anytime that you're starting something that you've never done with, it's new to you. Some of you may have not seen Dragon Ball. Some of you may have not seen Galaxy Express 39 or Ikush-san or many others that are so Doraemon or so many fantastic anime out there or manga or both. There's some great stuff out there. Rest in peace, Katsu Umezu. So on today's show, we'll move on a little bit on there. We got a bit of Mobile Gundam on this edition. We also have a little story on Daft Punk concerning an anime that they did a long time ago. Now, before we get into any of these stories, first I just want to talk about a bunch of things out there and things we were looking at to do for this show. One of the things is we want to look at standings for a lot of the anime. Who's voting for what? There's a site called Anime Corner, which puts out they do a voting process of fans out there, what's popular, what's not, and they put it in a top 25 listing. So we're going to try to read this week to week as soon as we get it on there. But this past week, for week 5 fall 2024, let's go over what has been top. Of course, well, let's do it in reverse. Let's start with the number 10. Now, a lot of these I've seen and others I haven't seen. So in the top 10, we have Yakuza Fiance. Now, I've heard this one already. It's supposed to be pretty darn decent on there. It's about a woman who's joining, I guess, the mob and stuff like that. It's a whole insane story with the Yakuza and everything like that. You know, it's one of those typical rom-com types with a lot of action in it. And right now, that's sitting at number 10. It's just coming into the top 10. Number 9 is Damachi. Is it wrong to try picking up girls in a dungeon number 5? That's the 5th season on this particular series. I've seen it. It is really good. I do enjoy it. It is down from last week's standings as far as that, but it's still a good series to watch. I haven't started watching season 5 yet, but season 1 through 4 was very good. Number 8 is Demon Lord 2099. I just watched the first episode. It intrigues me a bit. I haven't done the second one yet. If you don't know this one, this is basically a demon lord that dies and gets resurrected into the far future in a cyberpunk universe. And basically, most of his minions have turned against him, except one. And he is not as powerful as he was. He's like, what has happened is the resonance, because it's an infusion of mankind and his dimension into our universe. So basically, they've been able to infuse the population sort of with magic powers. That their magic is much stronger than him, and he has to try to get through life to this situation. It's like part-time job. That anime, the one that the demon has to take a part-time job on there, and that's up a bit. Number 7 is Tying the Knot with an Agmani Sister. Is one of these rom-coms on there, which is down as well. I'm not familiar with this one or this one. It's number 6 is Orb on the Movements of Earth, which is up 3 places actually on this one. I haven't seen this one as well. Now, this one is the next in number 5 is Blue Lock Season 2. I've heard this on there. Some people have liked it. Some people have disliked it. It is up by 1 this week versus last week on there. And then number 4, which is down. I don't know why it's down, because it's been excellent. I've been watching is Dan, which the animation is fantastic on this. If you haven't watched this, at the time of this recording, I haven't watched the current episode yet. So there's a new episode coming up for us on that. The other one is Blue Box, which has stayed in the 3rd position for 2 weeks in a row so far, from my charting as well. That one is another one that has been hit and miss on the episodes, but there's a good contention that this may be, with like Dan might be in the top 10 for the best of 2024. Number 2, and of course you're going to read this onto there, Bleach, the 1,000-year Blood War conflict, which I'm still way behind, like One Piece on there, so I haven't seen the newer episodes as of yet, but I'm glad it's back. And the number 1 anime, can you guess which one it is? No, can't guess? Well, it is ReZero Season 3. Yes, that's right, folks. ReZero Season 3 is number 1 up there. Basically, it's moved up 3 spots versus last week. And remember, this is all voting by you, the fans out there. Anyone if you go over to Anime Corner on X, you're able to click in and put in your vote every week. You can be a part of this. But like ReZero this year, the animation has been fantastic. The storyline's been good with the war. The plot development is still continuing on. I mean, this is one of the best animes of all time out there. You have to remember that. I mean, it's pretty ingenious that they have, if you're not familiar with this story, I mean, they have this kid, Subaru, that basically he dies and then gets flashed back to a save point in every episode, but he dies horribly. I mean, this season, holy crap, he's had his head explode multiple times. Basically, he's been completely ravaged to death. The last episode I saw, he just lost his leg, which is probably he's going to end up dying again. And and he keeps repeating this role. I mean, we're going against the what is it? The seven deadly sins on here, and one of them happens to be the one that took away the one he loved from him. I was getting confused between I think it's Rem. He basically lost her to one of these beings that basically she left her pretty much comatose. I mean, this is a great story. It's fantastic. Now you ask yourself, what happened with Dragon Ball and Rama? Well, they are in the top 20 as far as voting on there. Now, and same thing with Artifuda. They are in the top 20. They're in 11 to 20. Now, the thing about it is, you have to understand this, and some people will like Dragon Ball, and some people don't. Same thing with Artifudo, something with Rama. They have their issues with the story. Now, for me, I'll tell you straight out, Rama has been okay for me so far. Now, the controversy of them trying to pull in transgender situations on there, which is totally incorrect for this storyline. This is not someone who's confused. Well, actually, he is kind of confused. But this is someone who's been cursed. Cursed to be a woman every time he's splashed with cold water. And hot water basically turns him back. But the thing about it is, look into the outer perspective that there are other characters with the similar curse, but does not turn into women. His father turns into a panda bear, and they just introduced the other character. I keep forgetting his name. That basically he's going to be turning into a pig if they do it on this series. The original series, you had one guy turning into a pig every time he gets splashed with cold water. And that's pretty hysterical in itself on the things that the pig does. It's just really... And the same thing with the panda. I love the panda father is like, he's trying to say something, and he's like, he pulls up a sign, like something like out of Warner Brothers, says, hey, wait a minute. I don't talk. Pandas don't talk. That is pretty funny in itself. But overall, the animation's good. The fighting is good. Skills on that. Artifuda. I just watched, the fifth episode? And it was excellent. I thought it was really good, well animated for, not Demon Slayer type animation, but it did pretty good. Especially with the rabbit beastmen and women, of course, because they call it beastmen. The attack on the Capitol, which that fight was so good. I mean, there was some revenge getting in there. Guys were getting their heads chopped off. The whole section with the princess and that she was supposed to get married to this whole situation, and how things are going through with this, that she might be added to the harem now. That's a good possibility on that. But it's been a good season so far. First couple of episodes on there. Now the last one is Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball itself has been excellent. I mean, this is, and I was telling my wife the other night, this reminds me so much of the battles with the Red Ribbon Army. People say they're trying to push it to GT a lot. They're trying to, and the thing about it is, okay, I know there are guys out there that love GT and stuff like that. I didn't really like GT. Because remember, Toyama didn't really have anything to do with a GT. Remember that. And, you have the story, which was an okay story. You know, it was okay driven. You know, and the thing about it is that they're trying hard because everybody was made into kids. Now, not every in GT it was only Goku. Now everybody else is kids to this point. But you look at what has been going on for that. He's in another world, in a demon world. He has. It's very difficult for him to fly or stay up there because the way the air is thick, he's unable to. But then they introduced in the last episode last week that there are these little candy type. They sort of like reintroduced the sort of a new type of senso bean, which gives different type of situation, like a power up. One gives you a merge, like you eat half and all that, similar to the Kai's earrings. So you know when you put the one earring on, the other one puts the other, and you get to sort of like fusion. But people are trying to hard make this into GT. Honestly, it doesn't remind me of GT that much. It really doesn't. This is a new story. But like I said, for me, it harks back to Goku's youth. Basically, you know, when he was fighting the Red Ribbon Army, especially that last episode where he was fighting the Demon Lord's troops. I mean, that was fantastic. That was fantastically done. I mean, they're having a lot of, rest in peace, Toriyama. I mean, he had a lot of, I think he had a lot of fun with this. Because, I mean, he's brought up so much. But for people to say out there, it's too much GT, I think that's why the rankings are a bit low. I think it's starting to, because it's in the top 20. I think it's, people are saying, oh, it's GT. And those are the ones that are not, that just literally, they partially stayed away at Super. And they're trying to stay away from this because people are saying it reminds them of GT. In fact, I'm looking back at Super these days also. I'm jumping around on episodes, and I'm enjoying Super also. I mean, I'm right now. I'm in the tournament itself. I jumped to the end, but I'll probably jump back to the beginning on that with Goku Black and all that. Because Goku Black I was okay with, and I was just like, I wasn't that excited for. They could have done something a little better, but it's okay. It's okay with that. But once again, I said, if you're going to catch it, do catch that Dragon Ball Z. I know the English dub's coming soon. I know it's supposed to hit the theaters. I think if it hasn't yet, it's supposed to be hitting the theaters soon. They're going to be doing the first couple of episodes theatrically. You can buy tickets for that. If it hasn't happened yet by the time you get this recording. But they'll start to hit Netflix and all the other channels. And remember, Netflix is about a week behind. So if you have a Crunchyroll account, go to your Crunchyroll first to see it. Because Netflix is about a week behind. But I'm glad Netflix is doing week to week, that's fantastic. They're doing week to week with that, Don, and Rama Half. That they're doing week to week episodes. So let's move on a little bit here, away from the stats, and let's talk about a little bit of Gundam. And there are some things coming out. Also, one major announcement to the situation. And basically, we'll go through this, and there's a couple of other things we'll mention in between the two articles. Mobile Suit Gundam they're announcing Seed Freedom Zero, a prequel anime set after Destiny. So we're getting sort of like a prequel to Destiny. There are some people that like Destiny, some people that didn't. But one thing about Mobile Suit, it's hit and miss. I mean, I've liked a lot of the older stuff. Yeah, I used to love that Mobile Suit Gundam wing. I like that series. Some people didn't like it. I like that. I always take that in a way from the original series to that as a template to the stuff forward. I mean, there's some of the newer stuff was good, with the exception of what hit on Netflix recently, and we'll talk about that later, that there's an issue with that. But let's read a little bit into this. Mobile Gundam Suit Seed Freedom Zero anime has been announced with the format not specified yet. It will be set before the Seed Freedom movie, but after Seed Destiny, bridging the timeline between the two and offering some more context on what set up the movie. This isn't the only Gundam news, as the new project ALC Encounter was announced just recently as well. The announcement was made at the special event for the franchise, which featured voice actor Sochio Hoshi, director Mitsu Fukuda, and producer Hitsayo Naka. They gave some details regarding the Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Freedom Zero anime, thanking fans and saying that it is because of them this just might happen. He also says some of the storyboards are from 20 years ago, adding that it was originally planned to be an OVA in the style of Mobile Suit Variations. The script was already completed along about with half the storyboards. Some of the scenes were also used for the Seed Freedom series. According to him, it is not quite a side story, but more a breather within the movie's flow, addressing some questions like what happened here. He also confirmed that the voice recording has already been completed. So we're getting more Gundam out there, which is great for the fans. You know, Gundam is always going to be around. You know, that's not going to die out. And, you know, there's so much out there that's going to be coming forward to that. And basically, you know, you looked toward this and say, hey, this is coming. You know, we got this coming across. And this will be coming out in 2025. I mean, you're talking, how many episodes was the original series? It was Gundam Seed. It was 50 episodes back in 2002. And then you had the sequel was 2004. That was Seed Destiny. It also aired for 50 episodes. They were both animated by Sunrise. So, you know, there's going to be a lot more to look at when this comes forward. Hopefully it'll be good. It'll be better than what the Netflix one pulled out. And speaking of the Netflix, I mean, honestly, did anyone watch it? Really? Was anybody surprised on this? Because, you know, there's a lot of YouTubers out there that have just literally lambasted the Gundam movie out there. Now, I don't know what the hell that was. I mean, okay. I did like how the Gundam was presented, like in that darkness where it should have been a completely night episodes when they showed up. It shouldn't be like it showed up in the daytime or anything like that. Make it look like a demon. But unfortunately, the characters on there weren't like they just changed them around. And then I hear people, well, you know, they became fascists at the end of the situation. Do you understand what the characters were on this? I mean, did I miss something on the date? Did it have a UC date on it? I didn't recall. I have to go back to the first episode because I don't remember it had a UC date. And what they did to the Oz characters, you know. Look, you know, I can go with titles on there, but for me, Oz is similar to like if you've watched Starship Troopers. That kind of a government in a way. And the thing is that when you see it in the Netflix one, they're making them look like they're the bad guys. It's a situation that the Earth Alliance are the villains in this one. it just keeps shifting. And the thing is, like someone had mentioned on there, but they just was throwing fascism. Fascism. The thing is that you're talking about a military group versus just the rest. The politicians. That's what you really had. Politicians, scientists, and stuff like that. You know, the people, the blue collar workers and stuff like that. But you look at the way that the direction that they try to throw the Earth Alliance in, and you know, in Oz, you know, they had the girl at the end, the main character. You know, she's going to give up going back home to her child to try to save other children, you know, that are in the Gundams themselves. I don't know where they're going with this. I really don't know where they were going with this. You know, of course, this is coming from a writer who writes for kids television. You know, one of the writers, I think he did a couple of kids TV shows. That basically, he didn't really know Gundam. You know, I don't think he even watched the anime. I don't even know that, but I could be wrong. But the thing is that what we want to get into, and this is out of Forbes on there. Now, there is a live-action Gundam movie coming. And Netflix was supposed to have the rights to it. Well, not anymore. One, they've switched the director, and two, they've kicked Netflix to the curb. And I don't blame the production company to do this. I really do not blame them for this. Because we'll read a little bit into this on there. In not altogether surprising news, the live-action Gundam movie is getting a new director and moving away from Netflix. Previously, Netflix was going to handle the distribution of this live-action movie, along with Jordan Von Roberts attached to direct. However, now that Gundam Requiem for a Vengeance has finally been released and hasn't exactly done all that great, it appears that the prior setup has now dropped in favor of a new director with no involvement from Netflix. As reported by Deadline, the new director will be Jim Mickle, and I think that is an interesting and good choice. Not that only Jordan Von Roberts was a bad choice, as he clearly cared about Gundam, but he was likely collateral damage with how Requiem for a Vengeance landed in the terms of its recent viewer count. Mickle will also produce this new Gundam live-action movie along with his partner Linda Morin, which bodies well as their Sweet Tooth drama has been genuinely consistently excellent. Sweet Tooth is also noteworthy work because it shares some parallels with how it deals with younger protagonists, which is an important core staple of the Gundam saga. No. That aside, it's worth highlighting that Deadline piece does not get some things wrong about Gundam. The first is that the last year Gundam actually generated $1 billion in revenue last year rather than $600 million, and the second is that this live-action film will be the second for the Gundam franchise. That's right. Everyone don't realize, if you're a major fan, you know about G Savior. I have it on DVD. Okay? G Savior came out in 99. Okay? They're like, this is the first time it's a live action. No, it isn't. G Savior came out. And G Savior was pretty damn good. Especially the special effects for how much they didn't, put into this. The script was not that great, but it did pretty well for itself. Reading on, the first Gundam live action movie was in fact G Savior back in 99, which I said, which was to commemorate then the 20th anniversary for the saga. For many fans, G Savior tends to be thought as a pretty poor installment in the Gundam franchise, but it has its charms. It also spawned a surprisingly decent PlayStation 2 game for the era. All that aside, it seems that Sunrise and Legendary Pictures are pivoting away from the Netflix model, thank God, for this live-action movie, and are moving towards something that may fit Gundam better overall. It's still too early to say how this new setup will work, but for now, I'm cautiously optimistic. Not at least this will show now dodge the curse of being a Netflix live-action adaptation. Now, I looked up Jim Mickle. He doesn't have much. His earliest work is 2002, The Underdogs, which was a short. Mulberry Street, I'm familiar with. That's from one of the horror series. Stakeland, We Are What We Are from 2013, Cold in July, Hap and Leonard, and of course Sweet Tooth. My wife got into Sweet Tooth. She didn't get into the second half of this. And if they're trying to compare, if Deadline or for trying to say, hey, listen, they worked on this, and basically they did good with this, doesn't mean they can do anime. They can do an anime project live action. Now, as far as Linda Moran, her backup is some of the similar that he had, but she started out. She has a little bit more on her listing, but it's not anything. Mob Queen in '98. She goes all the way back to that. Transamerica. Let's see. An Englishman in New York. And this is stuff that, she was involved in Stakeland, A Birder's Guide to Everything. I mean, this is just a standard Hollywood, what they call reference. These are not saying that they've done anything for something of this caliber, of this action caliber, with robots and stuff. That's the main problem. See, with the live action series, the thing about with live action, when you're dealing with anime crossover, you have to have Japan involved. How much is Japan involved in this new series? I don't know. I don't think much at all. One Piece, you had people involved in it. You had the author. It's a lot of people were involved in that situation. That's why One Piece didn't fall apart. That it's doing so well. Season 2 coming. Cowboy Bebop, you had the situation where there was not that much involvement to the situation, and the writing was just like all total political. What they did to Faye Valentine. It was garbage. It was just total garbage. This was not Cowboy Bebop. They just didn't understand it. I mean, Wannabe, they're coming out with that new Lazarus series, which, anime, and looks fantastic. The preview of it looks fantastic. A run-up from original Cowboy Bebop. I mean, to have something like that. And that's the problem. That's the problem with Hollywood itself. They don't know how to make this. And this includes, you say, well, maybe it's just they don't understand Japan. No, it's that this includes live action American cartoons to basically live action as well. Do you remember the He-Man? Not the greatest moment. Captain America. Should we go down the line of the Marvel stuff that was cartoons and they transferred it into live action? Or even comic book? Another perfect example, Transformers. Now, the first Transformers 1, the first movie, Michael Bay, and Bumblebee were both very good. The other movies were horrendous. They stayed away. The thing about it is, okay, you wanted to do a live action on that. You have to take to the example of one of the live action, or the regular animated movies. Now, in case it's Transformers, did anyone go bother looking at the animated movie? Did anyone bother on that? No, they didn't. They just went off and just threw out, they just vomited what they did out on that. And then you came with a couple of other animated versions that were like the Netflix one, which wasn't that great at all also. Hollywood doesn't have a good track to the situation. We can go from Dragon Ball to Last Airbender. I can go on. You might say, well, what about Battle Angel Elite? Alita, Battle Angel. That's one of the only, one of just a couple that did well for itself because there were good people involved, people that knew the content. You're giving the helm to a lot of these live action movies to people that just don't read or watch the anime, they don't read the manga, they don't read the stories, they don't get people involved that know the concept of the story, the characters and all that. They just go off, read what they can on the internet, and they just vomited out another junky series to that nature. I don't have big hope for this new live action. I don't. Look how long it's taken Akira to come out and how many inundations. Look at Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell could have been really good, even with the story script that they had. What was the major problem with Ghost in the Shell? The cinematography. Match up the cinematography of what they had with the anime movie versus the live action. The depth of field, the depth of perception, the whole thing. It just didn't work. That's why it didn't work. And you say, well, they couldn't have done it. Yes, they could have. It's very simple. With the technology that we have today, it is possible. And you could do it cheaply too. Problem is, they hire, high-end people to the business, but there's some people, and I'm not talking about low wage. I'm talking about people who do the job right for the proper price. I'm talking the proper price. Not the extravagant and millions of dollars that they'll spend on special effects. You don't need to have a movie come out that's $200 million, $300 million, $400. There's going to be a point where we get to $400 million for the production, $400 to $500 million. doesn't need to be that way. You got movies out there like Terrifier 3 that's been making money out there. You know, they've only spent $2 million and they've already made that back. There are dozens of films out there, going all the way back to the 70s, that has had low budgets and did pretty well in the box office. You know, when you cheapen certain things, this is why Disney got in trouble in the 80s. Remember that. Disney got in trouble in the 80s for scripting and also for their special effects. The thing about it is, you can go out and take The Black Hole, which, decent storyline, the script can be improved a bit, but you don't need to go reshoot a lot of this stuff. What you need to do is fix the special effects. Fix a lot of it. There's a lot of special effects in the movie itself that needs, some love to the situation. And if you fix it, you got a better movie. You might be able to gross your money back on the box office, including the revamp of it. I mean, that scene with the asteroid crashing through, that's a great scene. Where it's rolling through the ship, and you see the heroes of the story. They're running across the bridge, trying to get away from it, and it's rolling right past them. As the ship is like opening up to space. I mean, that is fantastically done. But just the final execution of it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It was horrible. This is the things that happens when you put people in place that shouldn't be there. Another movie that you could have done was Something Wicked This Way Comes. There's another movie that's on there. And then there's, The Watchers in the Woods. Watchers in the Woods got yanked from the theaters 5 days after release, sent back, reshot the ending, re-edited the ending, and still the movie did not fare well in the box office. Why? Because the script, you turn the scripting from a horror to a science fiction movie, not a horror science fiction. You went from sort of a sci-fi ending to the situation, and almost poorly. I mean, really, not smally, but really poorly done. I mean, you had a great cast in there. It should have worked. A story of a mystery. It's a ghost story. Should have ended like a ghost story itself. But, this was Disney at the time. And some people have talked about it. Midnight Zed just talked about. Do you know what picked up for Disney and rebuilt Disney? Touchstone. Touchstone Films rebuilt Disney. And I said this before. R-rated movies did well for that. Why? Because you have a whole slew of people that will go out there, pay money for a good film. Ruthless People was a great film. Tough Guys wasn't that so much of a great film, but people did go to see it. And there are many other films. The early days of Disney was making movies popping out left and right as well. Remember that. You had the Kurt Russell movie series on there that did very good. When you look at the 1980s versus action movies and then into the 90s, when we talk about G. Saver and stuff like that, there was a lot of low-budget stuff out there that had good special effects, or up to decent, that didn't cost millions to produce, even in today's dollar. If you maximize it to today's, budgets and stuff like that, it still didn't cost that much, and gross better than a lot of the stuff today. We can go through a whole lineup. I'll give you a perfect example. One of the most innovative movies for the 1980s, besides Tron, was The Last Starfighter. Why? Why was The Last Starfighter so good? The special effects. Computers were still in the starting stage as far as CGI. The work that they did, even in a TV series like Reboot, which the documentary's out now, go try to catch it. I think you can catch it online. The stuff that they had to do to make these graphics back then took a lot of rendering. Rendering time were days for this. So you can imagine the work, the detail. You know, you have that, and then you have Babylon 5. But, you know, people criticize, it's not that great. No, but for the 1990s, that was a great series. It was done properly as far as the special effects. It didn't cost much. This was Video Toaster. It's a Video Toaster series that's on there. Look it up. You know, the studio I worked in, we used it. It was built-in Apple plates that would be put into the system with Video Toaster. And, you know, we used it for television production, because you were able to use it for wipes, fades, and all that when shooting live studio feeds. And we used that in one of the studios I worked in, and it worked out. It was working great, you know. And that's before stuff that you have today. You know, we're still using linear boards and stuff like that. But you know, a lot of cases, like for example, Blackmagic, the ATM Mini Pro can be operated from the computer itself and not from the board. And the same thing with editing too. You know, Blackmagic puts out, you know, the DaVinci Resolve, and that, you know, that runs inside the computer. When I was coming up in the business, we were using, you know, linear equipment where we had to have two decks, two video decks, three monitors, and basically a controller to do all our editing. Now, and you're gonna laugh at this, I couldn't afford that. That's like $10,000 for equipment like that. And you ask yourself, well, how did you do a lot of the shows you did back then? Pause and record on VHS machines. If we couldn't have a friend, because we had some friends in the studios and they allowed us to use the equipment every once in a while. But when we couldn't have that, how do we edit? Play and record. You know, it's like, you know, play on one end, put in the record, you know, two regular VHS decks. That's what we did. You know, no monitor, no controller. We did it from the front panel of the VCR. Okay? Go kill us on that. And you say, well, you know, the graphics and stuff like that. And VIC-20, Commodore VIC-20, we did credits on. Or we kind of like edited in credits from one of the other episodes. That's how we did it. But, you know, Gundam, I don't know. I really don't know. You know, they tend to mess these things up. Now, moving on. Now, the thing about it is, this is, speaking of anime, this is one of the best animes from the past with a great kicking soundtrack. I always say a good soundtrack can make a good story as well. The soundtrack is a member of the story itself. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Daft Punk, what you know of them, great band, retired now. Basically, you've known them from the movie Tron, the sequel to Tron. Not certain if they're going to be in the new one, as far as their music. But they got some great music out there. Now, before, really, if you were a fan overseas from France and so Europe on there, and those who, what we call the underground geek, like myself and all that, who already knew them, they were really, truly introduced to everyone by a movie called an anime movie from Japan called Interstellar 5555. Now, Daft Punk's anniversary is coming up, and basically there is a 4K remaster coming up. Now, the 4K remaster, some people says it's not good. From what the trailers is, yeah, there's some issues. I would have to see the entire print front to back to see what we can find on it. The original print, it is very good. The quality, the color, and everything like that. But there is a screening coming up very soon on December 12th. Tickets should be going on sale, I think, in another week or so. You'll be able to cash this in the movie theater. It is a short one. It's about an hour. It's about an hour long. And so let's read it from Billboard. Daft Punk's Interstellar 5555 to screen in 40 countries. I think it's 80, really, they said. They say 40 here. For one night only. Screenings of the film will happen in more than 800 theaters on December 12th and come in tandem with the special edition of Daft Punk's 2001 album Discovery. Daft Punk will give the world early holiday gift on December 12th when their 2003 anime film Interstellar 555, the five story of the secret five system, screens in more than 800 theaters in 40 countries around the globe. Fans of Interstellar 555, created by the French duo and Daft Punk creative director Cedric Hervet, in collaboration with Japanese artist Leiji Matsumoto. If you're not familiar with the name, for those of you on there, yeah, that's Galaxy Express 39, the late Leiji Matsumoto, and the Japanese anime studios Toei will know the film soundtrack by Everyone song on Daft Punk's 2001 album Discovery, which includes One More Time, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, Digital Love, and 11 other all-time classics. As the film was cut into individual music videos to become a visual album, it hasn't been widely screened in its entirety in theaters until now. As a big-time bonus, the day after the screening, Discovery Interstellar 555 edition will be released with 5,555 copies of the album to be released on gold vinyl, along with 5,555 number CDs and limited run of black vinyl available worldwide with the original Japanese edit artwork. The screenings are happening in partnership with Trafalgar Releasing, which specializes in special events, cinema distribution, and also worked on the 2023 cinema releases of Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour concert film, and Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, and also tickets for Interstellar 555 screenings will go on sale November 13th. So we've seen this that's coming out, but we've also heard from some people. They said they've seen the trailer. I've seen the trailer. Yeah, there's a couple of issues in there, but I think it's just a couple of minor ones. But I would, like I said, I would have to see this on a full screen in full 4K. I mean, I don't know what they're looking at what quality, what level their screens are watching, if they're watching it in 4K, because a lot of the trailer, I haven't seen a full trailer on YouTube, but it's been mostly on like Twitter, Instagram. So, that's cut down a bit as far as full screen. If you know that very carefully, because, it's compressed down on there. So I really don't know if Instagram is playing back when it's that small at 4K. So I'm not familiar with that. Let me know in the comments. For me, I've always loved Interstellar 4.5s. It was always great for me. I have one of the original albums on that. I do have a DVD copy of the anime itself and a VHS version of it. But it's it is time that it needed a cleanup, but hopefully they did a good job of it. But depends on who did the job. Did Toei do it, or did someone else do it? Because once again, this is Leiji Matsumoto. This is his work. It's beautiful work. Like I said, this is stuff that would remember you to Galaxy Express. If you haven't seen Galaxy Express 3.9, go catch it. It's in subtitle format. I think Tubi still has that available. I'm not sure if it's on Crunchyroll. I mean, it's out there, so you'll be able to find it easily. So comment. Let me know your thoughts about this. Tell me, on all the stories we talked about today. Get to share this video, hit the like, and hopefully today I've earned your subscription. Of all the thousands of videos out there, you chose ours, and we really do appreciate that. So until next time, this time next week on Otaku Thursday here on Cuticast TV, have yourself a good Otaku day. Catch in some anime, read a manga, get out there, watch some good stuff. Watch something you wouldn't watch before. That's what I do. I go through the listing. So get out there, watch. So until next time, have a good one and see ya.
Thanks for watching, commenting, and sharing this video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe, as this helps the reach of this channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help support this channel, as new internet laws around the world will diminish our reach and affect our sponsors. If you choose to help, there are two ways listed in the description below. The first link will lead you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will lead you to our gear shop where you can buy shirts, mugs, and other gear. Discounts will be listed on the site. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.
Fuck all what you think, bitch. Make sure let me paint